Amman, Jordan, and am a little worse for wear, minus my glasses, which did not make it off the first plane into Istanbul. And after a harrowing 2-hour run through a rat maze of lost and found, I did not find, I lost. Barely made it back to the plane in time, but you know, that's how it goes on your travels. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day. I will have more pictures here and a video or two, I think, tomorrow as we head up to Petra, which, if you're familiar with the Indiana Jones Last Crusade movie, you should recognize. We'll get some good shots up there. See you guys in a bit. Alright, it is morning here in Amman, Jordan. As you can see behind me, we have arrived, and it is the first day of the trip. Already you can definitely feel this is not in any way America. It just has a different feel to it overall. And yeah, this is it is the largest city in the country of Jordan. And it's part of the original Decapolis, which was 10 of the cities surrounding the Sea of Galilee, one of the ones that Jesus actually would have walked through. The old version of the city, obviously nothing like this. But we are about to head out for the day. Going to be going out for breakfast down in the hotel, and then on our itinerary we're going to show you a couple of things today. We're going to be hitting Mount Nebo, the place where Moses looked over and saw the promised land after his 40 years in the wilderness. We're going to be seeing Bethany beyond Jordan, supposedly where Jesus was baptized and Joshua crossed over the Jordan River when he was entering the promised land. And finally we'll be ending out our day down in the city of Petra, which is going to be on tomorrow's itinerary. We're going to be going into the old valley of Petra, where the city is carved out of the rock wall. So we will see you more here in just a little bit.
After this was cleared, they moved in here. They knew about the historic traditions, so they started doing investigation. They discovered this archaeological site. There's 3 churches, there's others in the area, but they were grouped together, and they seem to correlate with the ancient sources. They also discovered that the Jordan River had changed its course. They did a geological analysis of the gravels and so forth, and realized the Jordan River ran right down below us. And these pillars and everything correlated to what they read in the ancient sources. I'm talking about the scholars. So certainly by the 4th century and certainly the 6th, 7th century, all Christians thought this was the place. What I also shared with the other group was 2 big events that we're going to be referring to over and over again on this trip. Constantine the Great, you all have heard about him. We think about him in Adventist thinking of Sunday and all of that, and we'll get into that later on. But when he became the only Roman emperor, prior to him there were 4 Roman emperors, so to speak, okay, a couple of Caesars, a couple of emperors. He was able to eliminate his competition, became only a single emperor. He got all the power of the entire Roman Empire, and he became a Christian. And because of that, he basically had his mother, Helena, come here to the Holy Land and investigate and look for the holy places. Now you have to remember that Christianity is very historically based. Adventism the same way. If these events that we read about didn't happen, our faith isn't very good. We believe it's a historically founded religion. Jesus didn't exist, we've got a problem. If Jesus wasn't crucified, we've got a problem. If he wasn't baptized, we've got a problem with our understanding. And so Constantine had the same understanding. He said, if this is really true, we need to find these places. And we would commemorate them by building churches. So a lot of building activity took place in the 4th century after Constantine accepted Christianity. The other big event was Justinian. After Constantine, the empire fragmented again, and Justinian came to power in the 6th century. Remember 538, 1298, you guys are Adventists, okay? 538 is the time of Justinian. he had a big building campaign too. So a lot of the stuff dates from the 4th or the 6th and 7th centuries, when you had these huge Christian buildings. And the Christians at that time were convinced these were the right historic places. And that does correlate with other Christian accounts. They came here, they asked people questions, where did this happen? Now sometimes people lie, you know, and they say, well, you know, but they think in this case it's probably fairly authentic. Okay, so we have a pretty good reliability. So that was one.
Here we are at the site of the Jordan River, where a lot of people come down and get baptized, though they don't think it's the original actual site. It's just where the river itself is today. Back then the river had moved, so it's in a different location today than it was back then, but as of now this is the Jordan River, site of both the baptism of Jesus as well as the crossing for the Israelites in Joshua. Headed out, a splash of holy water to go, and onwards to the Eastern Orthodox Church on the site.
Kill him, let's go! Listen, you all always behind. Oh no, it's ridiculous.
Is the church open?
There's the Eastern Orthodox Church, commemorating both the ascension of Elijah on the chariot of fire as well as the baptism.
We are going shortcut back to the bus. Ah, I think most of our group now went back.
Traveling up here to the top of Mount Nebo, where Moses would have looked over into the Promised Land and eventually died. The view from up here looking back towards Amman, capital of Jordan, and one of the churches here at the top of the mountain. This would have been the view looking down towards the Jordan River. It's a little bit hazy today, so harder to see. Mostly that's because of the change in temperature and a lot of the moisture in the air coming from the river. It's not actually smog, it's mist. But either way, this would have looked up towards Jericho and into Canaan, the Promised Land. So this is one of the highest points here in this region, hence the region that Moses would have been brought up here to see into the Promised Land. He could have seen everywhere from all the way down Jerusalem and Gaza up into the northern area. Coming into the newer church that they built over the ruins of an old Byzantine church at the top of Mount Nebo. Some amazing mosaics over here on the side. You can see from the original churches that they uncovered, as well as the old pillars and the entryway that would have been the original entryway to the old church. So there's the farther down mosaics. The original flooring would have looked like. Again, this would have been 5th or 6th century, 500, 600 AD. Again, more pictures of the mosaics, a lot more detail on this one. This one would have shown the everyday life in the time when this church was renovated and rebuilt around the 600 AD. various life. And over here is one of the 2 baptistries that they found, which would have been used for various new converts coming into the Christian faith, just like we would have baptistries today. And up here in the front would have been where the priests would have performed the Mass, the Eucharist, where they have the breaking of the bread and the wine and the blessings that go with that. And you can get a sense of what the entire church would have felt like based on all the mosaics and everything that they've been able to renovate and redo. All of this is in situ, which means it's in the exact same place that it was in the original church. They didn't move it. They excavated it without moving things around. So you get a real sense of what the church would have felt like all the way around here, with everything still in the exact same place that it was before. Again, this is the church at the top of Mount Nebo, where Moses would have died, would have seen the Promised Land. And yeah, gives you kind of a sense of what the churches would have looked like several hundred years after Jesus died. Here in a church in Maraba, Jordan, and this is one of the earliest mosaic maps of the Holy Land that survived some of the purges over time. I'm not sure what damaged it or if there's a fire, but it shows the entire area of the Holy Land down here with Egypt, and then working its way all the way up here to the Dead Sea, which is that large, darker blue area. Jerusalem right here in the center point, and then the Jordan River branching off of the Dead Sea, heading on up here to Galilee, which would have been up here on this side of it. So this was able to kind of help us pinpoint many of the older cities. It's probably done around the 400, 500 AD time frame. One of the oldest, most helpful maps. They think this was probably made for pilgrims that were working their way through the Holy Land. So the pilgrims would have come here to the church, figured out where they were going, what direction, what things were there for them. And as you notice, everything in the map is written down here in Greek. There's Jerusalem. And it's in the middle of a current Greek Orthodox church. You know, one of the things that makes this so far really cool, even though it's only day 1, I can tell that not only is it neat to like be here where different things in the Bible happen, but you can see it's more than just a Bible tradition that happened. It's the churches and the different things that happened as a result. What's really kind of cool is we're seeing the churches and how Christianity functioned in the hundreds, 200 or 300 years after Jesus was gone, how they interacted with the history and with the different places that were there, the different things that they built to try and remember. Just kind of give me pause to see that Christianity, though it is a faith that believes in a risen Christ, is also consistently looking backwards, trying to figure out the history and to see exactly what was happening back then, to undergird faith and also to give something more to tell future converts and people who are going to believe later. So there's a preservation of history, I think, that's kind of cool. So far, the Christian tradition is one that looks towards its own story and tries to preserve and keep telling it in new and different ways. So yeah, some thoughts here and getting some interesting things here. Hopefully our next stopping point is going to be Petra here later tonight.